Okay, it's 1:03. If you guys want to kick off, I think people will kind of slowly come in.
Sure. Are you going to introduce us or should I start?
I think you start.
Okay. Just let me know when we're ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our first GRAS token holder call. I'm Aaron Unterman, a member of the GRAS Foundation Board of Directors. I'm a professional independent director based in the Cayman Islands. I'm a lawyer by trade, and prior to moving into the independent director space, I spent the majority of my career as a regulator. That included nearly 10 years with the Ontario Securities Commission, which is Canada's largest market regulator. For those of you who are not familiar with the OSC, it has a similar mandate to the SEC and CFTC in the US. I also spent 2 years as deputy head of policy and development at the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. The GRAS Foundation has a three-person board. The two other board members are Edward Noyens, also a Cayman-based professional director, and he has a CPA background, and Glenn Kennedy, a Cayman-based professional director with a legal background. Together, the three of us and our firms have a significant amount of experience as with governance and as directors in the Web3 space. Joining me today is Andre Radonjic, who is the Chief Executive Officer of WinLabs. WinLabs functions as a service provider to GRAS. WinLabs is a core contributor to the development, operation, and growth of the GRAS network and business. On this call, Andre will be presenting on a few topics relating to GRAS's business overview, network growth, business performance, token updates, and product updates. Our goal today is to give you a clearer view of where our business stands. So to kick things off, I'll hand it over to Andre to walk through how the business has been performing over the past year.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I'm about to read a prepared statement, but before I go ahead and do that, I want to give a small spoiler that I will be mentioning something about Gigabud's utility. I just can't do one of these things without doing that. All right. So we've talked a lot over the past year about the vision behind GRAS, in particular, how the network works, how our ecosystem is growing. But this is the first time that we're sharing a detailed view of how the business itself is performing. Since network launch, GRAS has grown from a technical concept into a business generating meaningful and accelerating revenue. It is now simultaneously one of the most widely adopted crypto protocols in the world, as well as an integral piece of infrastructure that some of the leading AI companies in the world rely on to build their models. At the start of the year, GRAS began to actively market its products and services to potential customers for the first time. GRAS quickly grew from having close to no meaningful revenue in Q1 of 2025 to approximately $2.75 million in Q2 to $4.3 million in Q3. And in Q4, GRAS is projected to generate approximately $12.8 million in revenue. These projections are based on an expected revenue of $10 million in October and November 2025 alone, and are based on ongoing business. Certain revenues generated in Q4 are also the result of contracts that were signed in Q3 with large enterprise customers. GRAS has been and will continue to reinvest the majority of revenue that it generates into growth. So that's where revenue stands today. I want to take a moment to talk through what's actually driving this momentum. The growth GRAS has experienced is a direct result of the team's focus on execution, from building reliable infrastructure and keeping costs low to delivering value to customers who depend on high-quality data pipelines at scale. Around 90% of revenue today comes from multimodal data, such as video, audio, and images, and 98% of revenue is tied to AI model training and related use cases. The revenue growth in the third quarter was accelerated by a channel partner that began white labeling GRAS's multimodal downloader. In the fourth quarter, GRAS closed new enterprise contracts with both a hyperscaler and a major lab in the video generation space. GRAS has also seen repeat business from nearly every AI company that has worked with GRAS. This is a strong signal that its products are delivering consistently on performance, value, and scale. When it comes to pre-training data, GRAS does not disclose the names of individual AI customers. Across the AI industry, training data has become one of the most closely guarded forms of proprietary and confidential property. Labs view their pre-training data sets as a core competitive advantage, and the broader regulatory frameworks for data transparency are still evolving. These initiatives are led primarily by those labs themselves in meaningful consultation with policymakers. As an infrastructure provider, Grass's role is to support those standards, maintain confidentiality, and deliver reliability at scale. In parallel to revenue growth, we've seen pretty incredible growth over the last year in the network. The Grass network is stronger and more diverse than it has ever been. Grass now has roughly 8.5 million monthly active participants, which is up from 3 million around the time of airdrop 1. The user adoption is primarily a result of sustained organic growth. Not only have we seen tremendous growth on the node side, we've also seen great progress on the product side, with some context behind why we've been heads down on so many product lines this year. Starting with the adoption of the Grass mobile app, which launched earlier this year, and continues to grow steadily and now plays a significant role in the growth of the Grass network and its geographic reach. The Grasshopper, which is a novel hardware device that unlocks brand new functionality for the Grass network, was originally intended to launch this year. However, tariffs earlier in the year have put pressure on supply chains globally, which delayed the Grasshopper beyond the timelines that Grass originally intended for it. There will be a separate public announcement about their progress, and it will be made in the new year. Our video data repository has surpassed 250 petabytes of multimodal content. This is enough data to train a frontier-scale video generation or text-to-speech model today. To make all of this work at the scale we're operating, laying a foundation for cost structure has been critical over this last year. Meaning, in terms of data collection, Grass has built what it believes is the lowest sustainable cost structure for storing and retrieval of data in the residential proxy network industry. This, in addition to Grass's ethical approach to network growth, has been a driving force in gaining market share, including by helping Grass price its products and services competitively. Grass also began rolling out a production-ready search engine result page API. It is currently in trial with 3 major SEO firms and 1 leading AI lab. Early feedback has been encouraging. Internally, Grass is scaling its search API and calling it V0 of live context retrieval. It is Grass's first product enabling real-time data access for AI models. Grass expects live context retrieval to become a meaningful part of the Grass business in the year ahead. That covers the major updates on product and infrastructure. I'd like to now shift to how the token fits into our broader strategy. Grass has started incorporating the Grass token directly into its asset and treasury management strategy. A portion of revenue from data and infrastructure sales has been allocated towards purchasing the Grass token on the open market. Last week, Grass completed approximately $100,000 in Grass token purchases, and Grass is in the process of executing a further $250,000 of Grass token purchases in the coming week. Cash for these buybacks was allocated from revenues earned in the first 3 quarters of this year. Grass will publish the wallet address where these purchases will be sent. Grass is actively exploring how to programmatically bring more of the network's activity on-chain and add further utility to the Grass token in supporting the operations of the Grass network. The majority of pre-training dataset curation happens in large and discrete intervals, which makes full on-chain settlement difficult for that part of the business as it presently functions. Grass's API-driven and inference-driven products, including live context retrieval, however, are being structured to have smaller and more frequent payment cycles where on-chain settlement becomes natural and viable. Before we move into what lies ahead, I'll hand it back to Aaron to walk through how the entities across the ecosystem are structured.
Okay, thanks, Sundar. I'm going to walk through the structuring of the Grass Foundation. So Grass Foundation is responsible for furthering the Grass protocol and ecosystem through the action of its subsidiaries. The Grass Foundation is a Cayman-based ownerless foundation and has no shareholders. Grass Foundation acts as a steward to ensure that its subsidiaries, including Grass OpCo and Grass DataCo, engages in activities in furtherance of the protocol and the ecosystem, with the best interests of participants and token holders in mind. This structure has been chosen as it represents the optimal structure for ensuring the prioritization and proliferation of the Grass network and token. The 2 main operating subsidiaries of the Grass Foundation are Grass OpCo Limited and Grass DataCo Limited. Grass OpCo Limited engages in operational activities in support of the Grass network and engages in token distributions via the Grass Airdrop program and Grass Staking program. Grass Data Co. engages in B2B in operational activities and is the entity that generates and receives revenues that support the project ecosystem. Half-Space Labs, which does business under the name Wind Labs, is a third-party service provider to Grass. Wind Labs supports Grass by providing product and software development, administrative and business development services, and these are provided to Grass pursuant to a master services agreement. WindLab does not receive any revenues generated by the use of Grass's products or services and is paid on a fees for services basis. One of the functions of WindLabs is to support Grass's sales efforts with respect to Grass's products and services. All customer contracts that are sourced by WindLabs are signed and entered into by Grass Data Co., and revenues under those contracts are paid directly to Grass Data Co. I'm now going to hand it back to Andre to go over what lies ahead for the Grass ecosystem. Andre?
Thanks, Aaron. So to quickly finish this off, I'm going to talk a bit about what we're mostly focusing on over the next 6 to 12 months and what Grass's development will mostly comprise of. So Grass will primarily focus on 3 areas. 1, building and launching live context retrieval and scaling adoption across enterprise and AI partners. 2, automating and productizing the full stack from downloading, filtering, routing, and billing to further increase efficiency and margin. And 3, consolidating Grass's leadership in multimodal data, where Grass's structural cost advantage continues to widen the gap between us and our competitors. Grass today stands on a solid foundation. Adoption that is durable and difficult to replicate, a growing ecosystem of customers and partners, and a roadmap informed by the data infrastructure needs of leading AI companies. Thanks to everyone who's been part of this journey, from the earliest node operators to Grass's customers, partners, and token holders who have believed in the mission from the start. I'm now looking forward to answering questions.
Andre, did you want me to start with a question that we received online?
Sure. I can also pull them. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, sure. So one question we received is, how does Grass ensure participant privacy and data security while using contributed bandwidth for AI data collection?
Yeah.
So
Sorry, what's
Grass
that?
internet traffic is completely separate from participants' personal browsing. Grass can't see what someone does online, cannot access extensions or applications, and cannot view any information entered on the device. Retrieval is executed through sandbox environments, and requests are validated by routers before they run. The limited account information required to operate the network is stored securely and handled under strict security controls. Grass works with established cybersecurity partners and independent auditors to maintain high standards for safety and compliance. Privacy and security are built into the architecture of the network, which is what allows Grass to operate reliably and at scale. Grass has published a blog on its website, grass.io, on both privacy and cybersecurity.
Sweet. I see 2 other questions. So just to give everyone some context, I think like tens of thousands of questions came in, and the foundation has done a lot of work in filtering that down. And there are a couple here that I'll answer really quickly as well. So one of them is, what is Grass's competitive advantage over other deep inner data layer networks beyond bandwidth? What makes Grass's data sets valuable to AI labs? So I think this is a great question. And I'd say that Grass's competitive advantage would come from 3 structural factors. The first one is the scale at which the network operates. Grass is operating one of the largest distributed residential proxy networks in the world. So this is unlocking access to public web content that is almost impossible for centralized crawlers to retrieve, and in many cases, literally impossible. So that kind of reach enables labs to connect really high coverage and geographically varied data. The second one is cost structure. Grass built an infrastructure stack that operates at a fraction of hyperscaler costs. This is because the Grass Foundation, the Grass network, owns all of the infrastructure that everything's running on. So this kind of efficiency is enabling the network to deliver massive volumes of data, very reliably and competitively and faster than any other provider in the world. The third one's data set quality and live context retrieval. So to date, Grass created some of the largest and highest quality data sets in the industry. In the next few months, the network's going to expand its capabilities to include LCR v0, as we called, and as we discussed earlier. This allows Grass to provide not just static data used for training, but also real-time data that AI models can like perform. AI models need real-time data to perform live inference. So we see that being a very big part of Grass's strategy moving forward. And then the other question we received is actually about utility. What utilities or functions will the token unlock as the network moves into its next phase? How does value generated by the network benefit token holders? I think this is like probably one of the most asked questions. Before I get into like answering that question, I just want to quickly point out that the gigabuds have no utility. So the Grass token is essential to the utility and operation of the Grass network. As the network scales, token utility expands across three core areas. Functionally, the token is tied to participation in the infrastructure. Staking and delegation determines which routers become operational, and then that directly affects network performance and capacity. That creates a concrete link between the token and physical utility on the network itself. The second layer is treasury management. So Grass has already begun allocating a portion of revenue to token purchases, and it's using funds from prior quarters to do that. As the network expands into live context retrieval, the nature of the workloads change. They become higher frequency, they become real time. And shifting in that direction actually allows us to move towards more programmatic execution based on actual usage in real time rather than discretionary activity, which is what's happening right now. And the long-term direction is to migrate as much of the network's activity on chain as possible. Not only does this improve accountability, but it also aligns incentives across the board. So as participation, like routing, settlement, like all these things move on chain, token utility increases in parallel with the network's technical evolution. So like kind of to summarize all of that, as data access becomes real time, like more API, MCP based, as more compute cycles shift from the training world, which is very, which happens in very long and discrete intervals, towards inference, which is happening in real time. We expect on-chain settlement to also happen in real time, as opposed to in these delayed discretionary ways. So I think that's all for the questions. Aaron, anything else you want to mention, or should we close it up?
No, just thank you everyone for your time, and hope this was a useful presentation.
Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. And thanks again for everybody's continued support. Means a lot. Really, really mean it. We're going to go back to work now. Thanks.
Thank you.